This video is going to talk about concepts in absolute value. So remember that the absolute value of an integer is its distance from 0. Because absolute value is used a lot, because absolute value is used a lot, mathematicians have created a notation for it, or a symbol for it, so you don't have to keep out writing the words absolute value or distance. So the absolute value symbols are these straight up and down lines. That's all it is. It's straight lines like parentheses, but they're straight up and down surrounding a number. The absolute value of an integer is the number part without the sign. So absolute value says just the number, not the sign. Absolute value of -9 is 9. Absolute value of +10 is 10. What do you think the rest of these are? Absolute value of -12 is 12. Absolute value of -3 4/10 is, of +3 4/10 is 3 4/10. Absolute value of -3.5 is 3.5. Absolute value of -8.7 is 8.7. That's it. A fish is 5 meters below sea level. We can use the integer 5, -5, to describe the location. So the distance from sea level is always positive, though. If we want to know how far does the fish have to swim to get up to sea level, so there's the sea, here's the fish looking for sea level, and if we want to know how far does the fish have to swim, we're not going to say the fish has to swim -5. That's silly. It's just going to be 5 meters. The fish is 5 meters from sea level. Writing the answer using absolute value tells me not only what answer you got, but how you got it. It's a way to justify your answer. So they want us to justify our answers using absolute value. So in letter A, how far above sea level is +7 kilometers? Well, we would know that the absolute value of +7 is 7. How far below sea level is -7? We know that -7, the absolute value of that, is 7 kilometers. And of course, we'd remember our label for both of these. John's time zone is -5. How many hours behind London is that? The absolute value of -5 is 5 hours. Jade's time zone is +2. And the absolute value of +2 means that Jade is 2 hours, time zone-wise, apart. Lena's bank account is -100. Oof. How much debt does Lena have? Well, the absolute value of -100 is $100. Point to the number with the greatest absolute value. Go ahead, take a look here and try to find the number with the greatest absolute value. Just look at the numbers without the signs. So we know that 7 is bigger than 3. 8 is bigger than 6. 20 is bigger than 15. And 20 is bigger than 15. The signs don't matter in absolute value, just the numbers. So they want us to write the absolute values in order from least to greatest. So for letter A, -7, +4, and -3, the smallest number is 3, and then 4, and then 7. That's all you would have to do. Let's say a bird is flying 400 meters above sea level, and a fish is swimming 200 meters below sea level. Using sea level as 0, the bird's location is +400. The fish's location is -200. Now, if we want to know who's closer to sea level, the bird or the fish, we know that 200, so if we draw this out, The bird is 1, 2, 3, 400 feet above sea level. The fish is 200 feet below sea level. So who's closer to the water? The fish is, because 200 meters is closer than 400 meters. So let's go ahead, try to identify who is closer to sea level here. The bird or the fish. In this case, the bird is closer because it's only 300 feet away. In letter B, the bird is still closer. In letter C, the fish is closer. In letter D, the fish is closer. And in letter E, just by a little bit, the fish is just a little bit closer. The bird is just a little bit closer than the fish. Make sure you look at units when you compare the distances from 0. Remember that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So if 1 meter is 100 centimeters, that means that to go from 5 meters to centimeters would be 500. Did we check the units back here? Feet to feet, meters to meters, meters to meters, meters to meters, meters to meters. Yes, we did. Let's take a look at some of these. If the bird is at 300 centimeters, the fish is at 7 meters. Negative 7 meters is the same as negative 700 centimeters. So which one is closer? The bird, because the units were different. So if the bird is at 20 centimeters and the fish is at negative 300 meters, negative 300 meters is the same as saying negative 300,000 or 30,000 centimeters. So bird is definitely closer. If the bird is at 53 centimeters and the fish is at negative 200 centimeters, we know that the bird is still closer. And then when we look at the last one, the bird is at 542 centimeters. The fish is at negative 300 centimeters, which means the fish wins one. Yay! So, how would we compare absolute value here? How much higher is 5 meters than 3 meters? So if I want to know how much higher is that, I want to know if we have here's our sea level. If I want to know, if I see that negative 3 meters is here and positive 5 meters is here, how much higher is it? Well, I would have to go ahead and figure out how many steps, here's 0 meters, it would take to get from negative 3 all the way up to 5. So I would add these distances. The absolute value, this is 3 meters away, and this is another 5 meters away, which means it's 8 meters total. Which is closer to sea level? Well, now, if I know that this is 3 below, going 3 above means that you still need 2 more meters to get to 5 meters. So there, when we talk about 3 meters here and 3 meters here, you still need 2 more meters. You're 2 meters further away from sea level. So you'd be subtracting here. 5 minus 3 is 2. How much warmer is 2 degrees Celsius than 5 degrees? Then how much warmer is negative 2 degrees Celsius than negative 5 degrees Celsius? We'll find at 0 degrees, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. That means that negative 2 is here, negative 5 is here. So I would know that that is 3 degrees warmer, because 5 minus the 2, not counting these 2, leaves me with 3 degrees. Sometimes you need to compare the absolute value of integers, and sometimes you need to compare the actual numbers. You need to pay attention to context. So, if Pam's time zone is -5 and Billy's time zone is +1, we know that Pam is behind London because of the negative sign. Billy is ahead of London because of the positive sign. Whose time is ahead of each other's? Billy is going to be farther ahead than Pam. Billy will have to, if they both visit London, Billy only has to change his clock by 1 hour. Pam has to change their clock by 5 hours. So Pam will have to change more of the clock because they are further away. By deciding whose time is ahead, we compared the actual values of integers. +1 is greater than -5, so Billy's time zone is ahead. By deciding who has to change their clock more, you are comparing how far each time zone is from 0, or the absolute value. So who's going to celebrate New Year's first? Well, that's going to be Billy. Who's more likely to have jet lag? That's going to be Pam, because Pam is further away and has more to adjust to. Let's say Ahmed lives in time zone +3, Rosa in -2, and Nami in -5. Who's going to celebrate New Year's first? Well, Ahmed is definitely the furthest forward, the biggest positive time zone, so it's going to be Ahmed. Who will need to change their clock more if they decide to meet in London? Well, that's going to be Nami, because Nami is furthest away from London. It's 5 steps away from London instead of 3 or 2. Nami will also celebrate New Year's last. Whoops. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.